Just gone live. Double check everything. Looks like it's working on Facebook. Gonna check if we're live on YouTube. If anyone can hear this, please go ahead and let me know in the chat. All right, looks like we're live on YouTube. And on our live kickoff page. All right. I'm not seeing it on the live kickoff page. So Gianna, if you're listening in, can you let me know if you see it on the live kickoff page? We're going to wait just a couple more minutes here, make sure that everyone's got a chance to hop on. There we go. Looks like we're now live on the live kickoff page as well. So while we wait for everyone to hop on, if you're listening in, go ahead and let me know where you're tuning in from in the chat. All right. So go ahead and get can anyone just give me a thumbs up if they're watching from the live kickoff page? And then anyone just send Facebook if you're watching from Facebook, and anyone send in YouTube if you're watching from YouTube. Alrighty. So to kick things off, I want to first of all just welcome everyone to this ADHD in Middle School live kickoff event, where we're going to go over all the different things that you're going to be learning through the ADHD in Middle School Summit, which goes live tomorrow and lasts all the way until August 28th, which is Friday. And so today, what we're going to do is walk through all the different speakers who are going to be attending, all the different perks that you would get as an attendee of the summit, what the All Access Pass is, what our online courses are, and a couple special surprises at the end of the video. So for a lot of you, you've already signed up for the summit. You know what it's about and who's going to be speaking. And for a lot of you, that isn't the case. So I'm going to approach this as if you're completely new to Smart Course or the ADHD Middle School Summit. So first of all, my name is Adrian Harrison. I'm the founder and CEO of Smart Course, smartcourse.io. And basically, we create engaging online courses, coaching programs, and a collaborative platform for caregivers of kids with special needs. And right now, we're particularly focused on ADHD during the middle school years because those tend to be the most difficult for caregivers. So our overall mission or vision for the company is to completely revolutionize the education system for all kids with special needs around the world. And the reason we're starting with ADHD in middle school is actually because when I was growing up, I grew up in New York City and I went to this French school here where the French school system is very strict compared to the American school system. And so growing up as a very curious kid, I would ask a lot of questions. And I think it was in my 7th grade, I was in a history geography class with a teacher who definitely had it out for me and didn't really like that I would ask so many questions or challenge her on better ways of doing things or anything like that. And so one day she just sent me out of the classroom to go see my dean. And I expected my dean to reprimand me for that behavior, but instead he was actually this really cool, chill guy who ended up listening to what I had to say about the education system and what I thought was wrong with it. And we ended up talking about, what the future of education should look like. And that really marked me because I was so much more interested in having those kinds of conversations with my dean than I was in being in this history geo class with this teacher who didn't really like me. And so it actually got to the point where I would look forward to getting sent out of that classroom because I wanted to speak with my dean about the education system. And so, fast forward a couple of years, I ended up transferring. I went to an American school called Kent in Connecticut, and I was shocked about how much easier that system was compared to the French system and how much more supportive it was as well. And it was a way better fit for me. Fast forward a couple more years after that, I ended up going to the University of St. Andrews, which is in Scotland in the UK. And so I got to see what the United Kingdom's education system was like. And so basically, to put it shortly, the way that I would characterize these 3 different education systems, which are some of the most elite in the world, is the French system will put you down so that you want to prove them wrong. The American school system will pull you up. And the UK doesn't really care how you do, but if you do good, good on you. And so, after seeing all these different systems and, all of them had their own pros and cons, I got really interested in, okay, so how can I change the education system for everyone so that no kid feels, marginalized or like they just don't fit in to that education system, which has a very predefined mold. And if you don't fit into that mold, you tend not to do super well. So when I was thinking about this, first of all, I was just a kid in college. I had no idea how to do anything about that. But I had taken this enterprise and creativity module as part of my management school because I was doing a joint honors degree in management, film studies, and philosophy. And one of these modules had us basically build a startup over the course of a semester. And I fell in love with that. I really love the process of building companies, especially startups, that early stage where it's just a bunch of people with ideas trying to cobble something coherent together. And, we had a great time. It was fairly successful. And so I thought, okay, well, I don't know how to change the education system, but I might know if I pursue this entrepreneurship thing, learn the skills necessary to start my own company, and then eventually with that, I would know how to change the education system. So that's what I did. And I spent a lot of years just honestly learning as much as I could from so many different sources. I took it upon myself to be autodidactic, learn from all of the most accredited sources I could find. Um, and one of those, eventually, because I started by just, helping my parents' friends out with their technology. And then I realized, oh, wow, like, my parents' friends are baby boomers and they also have businesses, and their businesses are going out of business because of technology. Their websites are really old. They're not staying up to date. They don't know how to use social media. So I taught myself, how to build a website, design a website. And then I taught myself how to do social media marketing. And then I realized, okay, so this is going somewhere. Because instead of now just helping them with their technology, I was building their websites and I was doing digital marketing for them. And I thought, okay, there's something here. I'm going to take an online course so that I have even more experience in this field and I can help my clients even more. And so I took this online course that was basically about how to start and launch your own online business. And what was really, really interesting about that for me was, first of all, at the time, no one thought that online courses were a viable way to educate yourself. It was like scam central. And funnier than that is the name of the business that offered this online course was iwillteachyoutoberich.com. So possibly the scammiest sounding name ever. But I was really perplexed by that because I had been introduced to the founder through this podcast called The Tim Ferriss Show, which basically prides itself on bringing the world's best of the best on a very specific subject and just deciphering, how they got to where they are and what they did and all that. And so the founder was named Ramit Sethi, and the course was called Zero to Launch. And so I was really surprised because I had listened to his interview and I was like, this guy's really smart. He knows what he's talking about. Why would he ever choose such a scammy sounding name? So I signed up for his newsletter and just, read his emails and learned more and more about his business. And I was like, wow, this free content is really good. So I can't imagine what the paid content must be like. And this course, for context, was offered at $2,400. So it wasn't like, just throwing away some cash to join it. It was a pretty big commitment. And so, I had seen the sales page for this course and I thought like, okay, I mean, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And that's when it hit me because it was very clear that they knew exactly who I was, meaning demographically and psychographically who I was online, my age group, my industry, what I wanted, right? And psychographically, those are things like, the desires that I had, the goal, but also the problems, right? The pain factors like points, the burning pains, the things that I really wanted to change or that were really bothering me, the fears, the obstacles. And so through that, I understood that they knew exactly who I was, right? And where I was, my point A, and where I wanted to be and who I wanted to be, which was my point B, right? And they were saying, if you take this online course, we're going to take you from point A to point B. And if we don't, you get your money back. And that was such a huge moment for me because that proved to me, first of all, you have everything to gain, nothing to lose. And I was like, why would they be willing to offer that? There's only one reason. It's that the content is actually good enough that they're willing to stand behind it. And that was a really big shift for me because then I realized this is what the education system should look like. Instead of what's happening right now, which is so many different kids, under 18 years old, making insanely huge life decisions about getting into either tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to potentially attend a university that may or may not get them a degree that may or may not get them the job that they want or allow them and empower them to live the lives that they want to live. And if you ask me, that's the core of what education is for. It's very simply just to empower you to be able to live the life that you as an individual want to live. And that means there can't be a mold. It has to be individualized and it has to scale. And in order for that to happen, an online course is the perfect medium, because I, as the creator of an online course, right, can do a lot of research to figure out, okay, we're going to create a course that's going to solve this problem for this set of people. And we're going to say, we're going to get you from your point A here, right? This is the place where you're at right now, where you have all these problems and you have all these hopes and these dreams, but it's not happening, to your point B, which is where we know that you want to go to solve all of those problems and achieve your hopes and dreams, right? And we can say, hey, look, like, we did a ton of work on this and we think it's really great. But I can totally understand if you don't believe us. So we're going to give you a guarantee that if this isn't exactly what you thought it was going to be, you can get your money back, right? And so, thinking that's exactly what the education system should look like, I thought, okay, who are the people who are the most disadvantaged in the education system today? It's kids with special needs. Why? So many different reasons. There's an insane amount of misinformation out there. Unfortunately, the caregivers of these kids tend not to be educated enough about how to best help their kids, and it's not their fault. Their jobs are some of the hardest jobs out there, and the resources are just not clearly available. So I thought, all right, there's this huge problem. And I reached back out to my middle school dean that I hadn't spoken to in so many years. And I said, so look, I've got this idea. I want to change the education system. I have no idea how. I know that the kids that are the most disadvantaged right now are kids with special needs. What do you think? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. That is a huge, huge problem. And then I found out that he has ADHD and that he has two daughters, twins, one with ADHD and one without. And not only that, but he was vastly overqualified for being a dean at my middle school. He had gotten his master's in education. He had taught teachers college. He's got like all these formal accolades for teaching and philosophy of education. And he got to see, not only as a kid, what it was like growing up with ADHD during a time when no one thought it was real, which still exists today. And he also got to see it as a parent for his own kids, because one of the twins had ADHD, and that's more modern day. So just like all the kids that the parents who are joining this summit are looking to help, he went through that. And he was a school admin, a teacher, middle school teacher. So he got to see every single angle of this problem. And so that, paired with the experience that I had garnered in market research, in online business, in digital marketing, in building online courses, we thought, okay, this is a perfect time for us to build an online course or online resources in general on how to help caregivers of kids with ADHD that are currently in middle school or about to go into middle school. And that's because our market research showed that the middle school years tend to be the most difficult. And that's also for so many different reasons. You know, you're going through puberty. You are going from having one homeroom teacher to having now many different teachers. You are more responsible for your organization, right? You have to make sure that you're able to keep track of all the different kinds of homework assignments that you're getting. You're, keeping your locker organized. You're able to switch from one class to another and still remain focused for 6 hours a day. And, add on to that ADHD, which has a very clear effect on your executive function skills. It's a recipe for disaster unless you have the right help, the right accommodations, the right access to the experts that are going to help you through those years. And so we thought, let's just make that happen. So I reached out to the world leading experts on ADHD, specifically during the middle school years, and brought them all together to teach a very specific masterclass on one specific topic to solve one specific burning pain that any one of these caregivers will be going through, right? And that could be a parent, that could be an educator, that could be another medical professional, that could be other caregivers like, tutors, camp counselors, test prep agencies, and then the kids themselves, right? Because that's who we want to help at the end of the day. So brought all of these world leading experts together and made them focus on one thing, one very specific thing that they were really, really known for. And then we made them incredibly actionable, because we don't want any of these masterclasses to be just like your average webinar. We're going to sit there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and have all this information that just goes in one ear and comes right out the other. That's useless. We don't want to do that. We want you to actually act on all of this content and have it impact your life, like right then and there. There's so many things that we've done to make this really, really easy for you to implement. And I'm going to go over those, especially with the All Access Pass. So the summit is completely free for anyone to attend from August 24th, which is tomorrow, until August 28th, right? So on Monday, a certain number of sessions, I believe it's 7 or 8, that are going to go live, and those are going to be available for anyone to watch for 24 hours, right? And then on Tuesday, the same thing's going to happen. Another 7 or 8 go live, 10 a.m. ET, available for 24 hours. Wednesday, same thing. Thursday, same thing. Friday, same thing, right? And so if you're struggling with this and you just don't have the means to buy an All Access Pass, you can watch the entire summit if you make yourself available for it for free. However, if you want convenience, if you want support, if you want access to perks and deals that we've put together with you, for you, with our speakers, with our affiliates, with our sponsors, if you want session notes, action guides, worksheets, if you want access to our ADHD support group that's moderated by experts, all of that will be available to you with the All Access Pass. So that said, let's walk through the different speakers that are going to be speaking at the summit starting tomorrow. So first off, day one is going to be focused on parenting and executive functions. And the first speaker that we have is Dr. Peg Dawson, who is a prolific best-selling author and a leading authority in the field of ADHD. And she's going to be talking about the 12 most common executive function deficits and how to turn them into executive skills. There's nothing more frustrating than watching your bright, talented son or daughter struggle with everyday tasks like finishing homework, putting away toys, or following instructions at school. Your smart but scattered child might also have trouble coping with disappointment or managing anger. Nonetheless, there's a lot you can do to help. The latest research in child development shows that many kids who have the brain and heart to succeed lack or lag behind in crucial executive skills, which are the fundamental habits of mind required for getting organized, staying focused, and controlling impulses and emotions. So in this talk, Peg Dawson will share her knowledge on executive functions and teach you easy to follow steps to identify your child's strengths and weaknesses, use activities and techniques proven to boost specific skills, and problem solve daily routines. All these small changes can add up to crucial improvements. Next will be Dr. George McCloskey, who is a professor and director of school psychology research of the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine and holds diplomate status with the American Academy of Pediatric Neuropsychology. He has over 35 years of experience in test development, teaching, research, and assessment and intervention work with a wide range of clients. Now, his talk is going to be about helping adolescents with ADHD learn how to improve self-regulation. Specifically, he's going to focus on the impact of ADHD on adolescent brain development, specific bridging strategies for improving self-regulation, the self-regulation difficulties typically exhibited by adolescents diagnosed with ADHD, the impact that ADHD can have on self-determination and self-realization, and the executive control intervention continuum for helping adolescents with with ADHD with orienting, external control, bridging, and internal self-regulation. Next is Dr. Ross Greene, the author of well-known books The Explosive Child and Lost at School, and the originator of the collaborative and proactive solutions model. He's the founder of nonprofit organization Lives in the Balance. His talk is titled Collaborative and Proactive Solutions, Teaching the Skills on the Better Side of Human Nature. Dr. Green's presentation will explore current research regarding collaborative and proactive solutions, or the CPS model, and how it can foster a collaborative partnership between adults and kids and engage kids in solving the problems that affect their lives. We will discuss and practice ways to solve your child's problems collaboratively so that they can be fully invested in solving the problems, the solutions, and are more durable, and over time increase their competence in learning the skills they were lacking all along. By the end of it, you will have the resources and tools needed to implement the CPS model for your middle school age child. Next is Dr. J. Russell or Russ Ramsey. He's the co-founder and co-director of the University of Pennsylvania's Adult ADHD Treatment and Research Program and an associate professor of clinical psychology in the Department of Psychiatry in the Perelman School of Medicine at the University of Pennsylvania. He's also authored many publications. His talk is entitled A Cognitive Behavioral Informed Approach to Help Middle Schoolers with ADHD. One of the frustrating aspects of being a parent of a middle schooler with ADHD is the helpless feeling of being less able to step in and actually do things to help their child manage the many demands of life at this stage. Tasks such as school, chores, family, and social life, and others increasingly, but not totally, fall on the shoulders of the students. So this talk is going to help you talk about cognitive behavioral informed approaches to solve all of those problems. Next, we have Dr. Sam Goldstein, who is an adjunct assistant professor at the University of Utah School of Medicine. He's a clinical director of the Neurology Learning and Behavior Center. His talk is entitled Understanding and Nurturing the Forces That Shape the Life Outcome for Youth with ADHD. Now, for the past 40 years, the center that Dr. Sam Goldstein runs has provided assessment and treatment for over 10,000 children and teens with neurological, developmental, and emotional disorders. Dr. Goldstein has authored over 50 books, as well as over 36 book chapters and 30 research articles. Among his publications is the first textbooks on evaluating and treating youth with ADHD, as well as the first textbook for professionals devoted to the assessment and treatment of ADHD in adults. His research has focused on resilience and outcome for youth with a broad range of childhood disorders. He has also co-authored 6 neuropsychological tests. He currently serves as editor-in-chief of the Journal of Attention Disorders, one of the top 25% of science journals worldwide. He also sits on the editorial boards of 6 peer-reviewed journals. So, Dr. Sam Goldstein is definitely not a session you want to miss. Next is Elaine Taylor-Klaus and Diane Dempster, who are both professionally certified coaches and the co-founders of one of the most successful blogs on ADHD, impactadhd.com. And they're also world-renowned speakers. Their talk is titled The Top 5 Lessons for Parenting Through the Middle School Years and How to Handle the 4 Transitional Hotspots Every Parent Goes Through. Elaine Taylor-Klaus and Diane Dempster teach you effective techniques on how to keep your cool and teach your kids to do the same during 4 challenging transitions that parents of kids with ADHD struggle with most: mornings, homework, bedtime, and technology. Now, there are various challenges families with children with ADHD face. However, there are 4 so-called pressure cooker challenges that tend to be the most pressing ones and tend to affect a large majority of these families. These challenges are mornings, homework, bedtime, and technology. Although they do not appear to be related, they have a lot more in common than you might think. These challenges are all about managing transitions, which can be difficult for kids with ADHD. And this session will coach you on the key strategies to manage all of these hotspots when time is short and tempers are ready to spark. Next is Dr. Sharon Salim, who is a clinical psychologist and award-winning author specialized in working with kids, young adults, and families living with ADHD, learning disabilities, and mental health issues. Her talk is titled The 5 C's of ADHD Parenting and How to Deal with Anxiety During the Middle School Years. And in her presentation, Dr. Celine discusses how listening to and working with the voices of kids diagnosed with ADHD can improve family cooperation and success. Based on interviews with dozens of kids and their parents, as well as over 25 years of clinical experience, Dr. Celine provides parents, educators, and clinicians with extremely helpful insights into how kids honestly think and feel about having ADHD and how to better assist them. She has created a unique strength-based approach called the 5 C's of ADHD parenting that helps families improve self-control, compassion, collaboration, consistency, and celebration. Her collaborative approach integrates mindfulness, cognitive therapy, and positive psychology while teaching effective skills to reduce stress in families' lives. Next is Jeff Copper, who is an ADHD coach, the founder of Dig Coaching Practice, and host of Attention Talk Radio and Attention Talk Video. His talk is titled, Is Your Working Memory Working? This session is a part of the presentation, part presentation, part mindfulness exercises, and part workshop. We'll define working memory and understand it in the context of ADHD and in terms we can all understand. And to begin, we'll define working memory. Understanding it and gaining awareness of its impact is the first step to managing around it. Next, ADHD coach Jeff Copper will place participants in various attention exercises, creating an experience that will tax working memory. When attendees witness themselves in the moment, they will be able to clearly observe working memory as a process. Such experiential exercises will bring the insights necessary to approach how to move past the challenges in new ways. Day-to-day examples will be shared and analyzed to understand how working memory is at the root of a significant portion of most people's procrastination issues. We'll share observational techniques to help participants recognize things that they already do to manage the challenges of working memory. Providing access to a variety of mindsets will help attendees control their working memory challenges more intentionally. And finally, we'll cover how managing working memory will help to purposely reduce the procrastination of typical tasks. Participants will leave with an understanding of the role working memory has in procrastination and ultimately why large projects are put to the side so they can end the negative cycle. So that concludes day one, which, as you can tell, is going to be a really, really jam-packed day of value. But that's just day one. Next is day two. And the theme of day two is ADHD in middle school, accommodations, and homework. So pretty much anything that has to do with school, homework, or the accommodations that you may or may not have to get in place for your child with ADHD. So first, we're going to be hearing from Dr. Manju Banerjee and Dr. Adam Elrom. So Dr. Banerjee is the Vice President of Educational Research and Innovation at Landmark College, with 35 years of experience in the field of learning disabilities. Dr. Banerjee is on the executive board of the Learning Disability Association of America, professional advisory board member to the National Center on Learning Disabilities, and Learning Disability Association of America. Dr. Adam Elrom received his PhD in educational psychology from the University of Connecticut. With more than 10 years of experience in higher education administration, he has served on the board of the Council of Exceptional Children's Division on Career Development and Transition. His recent work focuses on the transition of students with disabilities to and within higher education. So their talk is entitled Online Learning for Students Who Learn Differently. What do we currently know and how can we become better? And this is a really important talk that I want to stress for people because of the pandemic, right? Because of COVID-19, education will never be the same. And distance learning is going to be very, very, very important moving forward. Nowadays, online and remote learning is the new normal for most students in higher education. As all are learning to pivot quickly to meet the current demands, some are better prepared than others. It is often believed that the online platform is not user-friendly to students who learn differently. Yet, for the past 7 years, Landmark College has been offering online courses to high school students with executive function challenges as part of their successful online dual enrollment program. So using our knowledge of learning disabilities, student profiles, and experience with online learning, this session will share information on how educators can develop online courses to meet the needs of all students. Next is Dr. Claudia Rinaldi, who is a professor and chair of the education program at LaSalle University. She is a 3-year endowed position awarded for excellence in teaching and community impact, serves on the boards of the National Center for Learning Disabilities, and as an expert for Understood.org and the National Center for Intensive Interventions. Her talk is entitled Navigating and Advocating for Effective Special Education Services, a primer for parents partnering with schools. Dr. Claudia's presentation will provide parents with guidance on how to partner with special education IEP teams, IEP is for Individualized Education Program teams, to advocate for their children's educational rights. She will explain the benefits of asking about the school's use of a multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS, framework, and how it integrates with special education services. The session will also highlight an effective special education referral process, including an ecological assessment practice, interpretation of tests, connecting the results to instructional planning, and advocating for adaptation, accommodations, and assistive technology. We will discuss how different types of assessments work to inform instructional planning. Parents will be provided with sample questions for the eligibility and the IEP team to ensure that the instructional decision matches the student's current level of performance. Very, very important talk. Next is Dr. George Dupal, who is a professor of psychology and associate dean for research, College of Education at Lehigh University. He has extensive experience providing clinical services to children with ADHD and their families, as well as consulting with a variety of school districts regarding the management of students with ADHD. His talk is entitled Understanding and Promoting the Transition to Middle School for Students with ADHD, which is very, very important if you are a parent that has recently gone through the transition or will be going through the transition from elementary school. The description is, are you equipped to support students with ADHD as they transition to middle school? This session will summarize research on primary and secondary outcomes for students with ADHD, as well as interventions aimed at supporting students with ADHD's transition to middle school. Attendees will learn strategies to strengthen middle school programs and services, common documentation requirements in secondary school settings, and tips for helping students with ADHD adjust academically and socially to middle school. Dr. Dupal will cover different study skills, what homework looks like from the teacher's perspective, and organizational skills for your kid's locker, desk, book bag, and binders. Next is Dr. Stephen Evans. So Dr. Evans is a distinguished professor in the Department of Psychology at Ohio University and a licensed clinical psychologist in Ohio. His research interests are school-based treatments for adolescents with ADHD. His talk is titled How to Help Adolescents with ADHD Succeed in Middle and High School. So adolescents with ADHD frequently experience problems at school, completing work, getting along with others, performing well on tests and quizzes, and following school rules. For some youth, these problems lead to school dropout, academic failure, substance use, and delinquency. So improving a student's social and academic success at school can change an adolescent's trajectory and reduce the risk of poor outcomes. The interventions needed to improve the outcomes for these adolescents are available, but too often they are not used as people choose to reduce expectations for the student or provide other accommodations. And I cannot stress this talk enough because it is so important in today's world where, unfortunately, the remedy most people jump to is to do everything for the child. But that doesn't help the child long term. That just makes them dependent on an environment that is catered to them. And so the second they're not in that environment, they crumble. And so I really, really want to stress this point because I know it's very difficult for parents and educators to see kids fail. But think of their time in school as a training ground, especially middle school, because that is a unique opportunity for them to be able to test out their skills and hone them before they get to high school where things matter a little bit more And those matter to eventually get into higher education, which eventually matters to get your job, right? And no one at your job is going to be catering to you. You have to learn to adapt to the existing environment. And so it's really, really important to make sure that these kids are building these skills themselves and not just succeeding because the environment has allowed them to succeed easily. So next is Christine Kotick. Christine is a professional certified coach and the owner of CK ADHD Coaching and Consulting. She is passionate about empowering students to improve school results by managing their ADHD struggles and building on their natural strengths. Her talk is entitled High School, How to Go from I'm Not Ready to Let's Do This. Christine's presentation will explore how to help your middle schooler get ready for high school through an understanding of the differences and strategies to build into the middle school years. We will discuss and practice what your student needs to know about high school and generating a strengths-based mindset and building the parent-child relationship. We will also practice how to build and maintain the parent-child relationship, which is highly important during the adolescent and teen years, as I'm sure many of you parents know. By the end of it, you will have the resources and tools needed to send your child off to high school with confidence. Next is Leslie Josell. She is the principal of Order Out of Chaos, speaker, coach, and the creator of the award-winning academic planner, A Tool for Time Management. Her talk is entitled, It's 9 p.m. Don't you have homework to do? How to make homework fun and personalized for your child. In this session, Leslie will explain her signature process for getting students unstuck, and started. She'll share the original strategies she uses with her coaching clients to help them stay on task, on time, and on track. She will give you creative ideas for planning long-term projects, boredom-busting games that strengthen the homework muscle, as well as teach you solutions to help your child learn how to prepare and plan for exams. Throughout the session, Leslie will share hands-on exercises that will teach you how to create a personal homework profile for your child so they can learn the best practices to manage their time and get their homework done. Next is Andrea Elrom. So Andrea is the director of creative solutions and ADHD and executive function coach with over 15 years of experience working with children and parents. Her talk is titled Managing Homework, Parent Edition, Tips, Tools, and Strategies for Helping Kids. Parents will walk away with techniques, strategies, tips, and tools to better understand your child with respect to homework and the challenges that arise from homework. The various executive functions that come into play, which are motivating, planning, prioritizing, problem-solving, and self-monitoring their work, will be explored. This workshop aims to reduce the daily stress of homework battles and bring calm and order to both you and your child. Now, I know both of these are about homework, and that's because homework tends to be one of the biggest pain points for caregivers of kids with ADHD. So both of them are necessary. Next is Dr. Sarah Wheeler. She is a special education teacher, counselor, and school psychologist for over a decade. She specializes in helping children who are struggling to learn, socialize, or navigate their emotional world, especially children with learning disabilities, ADHD, and autism. Her talk is titled How to Get an IEP or 504 Plan for Your Child and How Your School Psychologist Can Help. So one quick note about Dr. Sarah Wheeler is that she's also an instructor for our ADHD in middle school online course. And actually, so is Dr. Sharon Celine, who I mentioned is speaking at day one. And the reason that we have Dr. Sarah Wheeler as one of the instructors is because her experience as a school psychologist is invaluable for parents, because so many school psychologists are available to caregivers but are not doing their jobs right. And that's because the caregivers don't know to ask the school psychologist what to do. And I know it sounds like, why should you have to ask them? But that's the reality. That's the world that we live in. And so it's better for you to just be educated and empowered on what you should ask them and how to leverage their skills so that your kid gets the better accommodations and support for them. So in this interview, we're speaking with Dr. Sarah Wheeler to give parents a clear understanding of the differences between an IEP, Individualized Education Program, and a 504 plan for middle school age students with ADHD, and whether your child may need one as well as the role of a school psychologist during the middle school years. While there is a lot of information out there about 504 and IEP plans, it can sometimes be confusing and overwhelming for parents to choose the right plan, ask for it, and implement it. So in this interview, Dr. Willard will explain in detail what the IEP and 504 plans consist of, highlighting their differences and similarities, and how to assess whether your child needs one or the other, or none. Naturally, she will also instruct us on how to get these plans and how to implement them with the school. She will also explain what is the essential role of school psychologists in caring for a child with ADHD and how to get access to these professionals. So that concludes day 2, which obviously also sounds amazing, especially for the school side of things. And day 3 is specifically about relationships with family, marriage, siblings, and your school. Right? Relationships are everything with ADHD. So, first speaker will be Melissa Orlov, who is the founder of ADHDmarriage.com. She's an award-winning author and the leader on how ADHD affects relationships in the world. She is also an instructor for our online course, specifically teaching everything you should know or need to know about how to handle your relationships better with your kid with ADHD, in your marriage, with your school, if there are any siblings, so that you don't have to go crazy raising your child through the middle school years, especially during a pandemic when all of these relationships are strained. So her talk is titled Just Right, Creating a Relationship that Meets the Needs of Both ADHD and Non-ADHD Partners. Because, as I'm sure many of you know, ADHD is highly hereditary. And so if one of the parents has ADHD, it's very likely that one of the kids has ADHD. So ADHD and non-ADHD people can be quite different in physiology, how they are in the world, problem solving, background, skill sets, and much more. Plus, there are ADHD symptoms and non-ADHD reactions to those symptoms. With all these differences, it can be hard to feel heard and valued within family relationships. So in this session, Melissa Orlov will provide insights and tools based on over a decade of experience working with families affected by ADHD. These can help you create responsive relationships that accommodate the needs of the parent with ADHD without overlooking those of the non-ADHD family members. She will focus mostly on marital relationships, while highlighting how these affect the children. She'll answer questions such as, how much accommodation of ADHD is too much? How do you get our own opinions heard when you disagree? How can the family cope with the difficult behaviors of the partner with ADHD, and more? Next is Dr. Christopher Willard, who is a psychologist and educational consultant who teaches at Harvard Medical School. He has been practicing meditation for 20 years, currently serves on the BOD at the Institute for Meditation and Psychotherapy, and is the president of the Mindfulness in Education Network, author of Child's Mind, Growing Up Mindful, and Raising Resilience. His talk is titled Growing Up Mindful, Mindfulness and ADHD. Dr. Willard's presentation will explore current research regarding how mindfulness builds emotional intelligence, increases attention and focus, minimizes stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem, and boosts happiness. Also, how mindfulness significantly enhances what psychologists call flourishing, a state of mind that encourages individuals to embrace life and not avoid it. We will discuss various mindfulness activities that may suit routine based on his or her learning style, interests, and attention span. And by the end of it, you will have the resources and tools needed to implement mindfulness activities for your middle school age child. Next is Dr. Anna Vagan. She's a licensed speech and language pathologist with over 30 years of experience, the author of Movie Time Social Learning and UQ Feelings, online video viewing for social learning, and the developer of the Conversation Paths Pack. Her talk is titled Play to Practice, Gaming for Social Learning. Families of students with ADHD are often looking for ways to support their students learning at home, and using a range of games can add enjoyment to their efforts. Dr. Vagan's interactive presentation will explore how games can be engaging tools to help children with ADHD build their comfort level with uncomfortable feelings, become more resilient, gain perspective-taking ability, understand that feelings can change very quickly, and recognize that it's okay to make mistakes. We will discuss strategies that can increase appropriate risk taking and help manage anxiety via role playing, tabletop games, and video games. You will leave with lists of recommended games as well as visual supports to use for in-the-moment support of your student. Now, I know a lot of parents are probably thinking, oh my God, my kid plays video games too much. I don't want to help with that, or I don't want to add more video games. But actually, this talk is really, really important because it's going to show you what are some video games or other games that your kid could be playing instead of those other video games that you don't want them necessarily to be playing, right? And not only that, but they're games that are also going to help their social, emotional, and behavioral progress. So next, we have another talk actually from Jeff Copper, which is entitled ADHD and Motivation in Teens, a Love-Hate Relationship. Jeff Copper is going to define motivation, particularly among ADHD teens, and how it affects ADHD teenagers' engagement in many activities. What is motivation? Are your ADHD teens motivated or just lazy? What is ADHD anyway? Why can't ADHD teenagers engage in anything that doesn't interest them? These are the million-dollar questions for ADHD parents around the world. And there is no magic bullet to get ADHD teens to do what they need to do. So finding ways to influence what they do can be challenging, especially if you have the wrong mindset. So in this discussion, ADHD coach Jeff Copper addresses the realities of ADHD, motivation, and how to set up your mind to influence ADHD teens as best you can so they can achieve what they are capable of. And if you have an ADHD teen, listen in and get the insights you need to parent as efficiently and as effectively as possible. I mean, motivation is something we all struggle with. It's especially difficult for people with ADHD. But this talk really dives down into like, what is motivation, right? How does it work? Why do people feel motivated? And I remember having such a great conversation with Jeff about that. Next is Daniel Karpski, who is a teacher, administrator, and parent with ADHD with an education career of over 30 years. He has taught teachers at Columbia University Teachers College and presented his work internationally at conferences on ethics and philosophy of education. He and his daughter, now a student at a top-notch university, both have ADHD. His talk is entitled The Top 10 Biggest Fears for Parents of Kids with ADHD and How to Deal with Them. So in this presentation, Dan will explain why you don't need to be afraid, not afraid that your child will fail, not afraid of ADHD, not afraid of medication, etc. Being afraid is bad for you and your child. And Dan will offer some concrete ways to deal with your fears. Dan will show you why there is no good reason to be afraid of most of these things. And if you're scared of your child's ADHD, your child will be scared of their own ADHD. And that's more difficult to handle than any of these fears by themselves. And Dan is also the middle school dean that I was talking about so many years ago. And he's also one of the instructors for our ADHD in middle school online course. And he teaches everything from A to Z, like everything you're going to be going through as a parent. And he refers obviously to experts that are more in depth. But having that instructor as someone who is a parent and can relate on that level is invaluable. Next is Jody Klugman-Robb, who is a licensed marriage and family therapist focused on making strong connections with clients and specializes in changing unwanted patterns in adult ADHD trauma using EMDR and parental identity discovery. Her talk is titled The Highly Sensitive Person, What to Do with Rejection Sensitivity Dysphoria. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria and the concept of a highly sensitive person are gaining momentum in the field of psychology, and that's owed largely to the impact they have made on the population affected by ADHD. This presentation examines the influence of rejection in sensitivity dysphoria and in highly sensitive persons with ADHD. Mood issues like depression and anxiety are exceedingly correlated to the highly sensitive person, therefore requiring direct clinical treatment. The goal of this workshop is to help parents and other caregivers recognize mood issues like depression and anxiety, as well as to teach them about the clinical treatments available and other daily life strategies to help reduce the emotional toll of these issues. Next is Jeanette Patterson, who is also a licensed marriage and family therapist. She has 30 years of experience offering individual, couple, and family therapy in nonprofit agencies and private practice. She specializes in learning disabilities, emotional disturbance, and ADHD issues in children and adults. Her talk is titled Managing Emotional Dysregulation and Impulsivity in Middle Schoolers with ADHD. This presentation will teach parents and caregivers of individuals with ADHD about the underlying dynamics of emotional dysregulation and impulsivity and how it manifests in maladaptive or dysfunctional behaviors. We will address stuck patterns in dealing with the resulting problematic situations and offer concrete strategies to address these behaviors in the individual. We will also practice communication and interaction skills to promote healing and improved responses to triggers and situations. In order to implement these coping methods, we will learn to be mindful and observant of our own thoughts and feelings so that we can respond appropriately. This session will discuss mindfulness as a personal practice, as well as how to help the individual with ADHD become more mindful. And thus concludes the speakers of day 3. So literally anything that you could be struggling with regarding your relationships, whether at school, at home, will be covered. Next is day 4, where the theme is the tougher side of ADHD, comorbidities, and how to cope with them. And I really wanted to make a day specific to this because it's something that does not get talked about because it's scary, because it's taboo, and that doesn't help anyone. So I wanted to make a point that we're going to cover the things that most people are uncomfortable talking about because they're really, really, really important. So the first speaker is Dr. Jerome J Schultz, who is a clinical neuropsychologist at Harvard Medical School with nearly 40 years of experience in the field. He was the founding director of the Learning Lab, a diagnostic clinic at Lesley, and served for several years at Cambridge Health Alliance as the co-director of the Center for Child and Adolescent Development. His talk is titled Middle School, ADHD, and Stress, What to Know and What to Do. Dr. Schultz's presentation will explore current research regarding how chronic stress can adversely affect brain functioning, behavior, and emotions, and offer practical strategies to help kids become their own advocates and turn stress into the fuel for success. By the end of this enlightening and entertaining presentation, you will have a better understanding about how and why stress plays such a central role in your child's life in middle school. You'll also learn some simple and effective ways to help minimize the negative impact of stress and let your child's strength shine through. Next is Dr. Roberto Olivario. He is a clinical psychologist and lecturer in psychology at Harvard Medical School, specializes in the treatment of ADHD, OCD, and BDD, an internationally recognized expert in eating disorders and body image problems in boys and men. His talk is entitled Identifying, Understanding, and Supporting Middle Schoolers with ADHD and Depression. The harsh reality is that depression is very highly correlated with ADHD. 30% of individuals with ADHD have had a depressive episode. And if you have ADHD, your risk of developing is greater than it is for those without the disorder. Dr. Olivario's presentation will explore what struggles and the risk factors that young people with ADHD have that can lead to depression. What are the signs and symptoms so that parents or caregivers can recognize early and act on it? We will discuss treatment interventions for ADHD and depression and also practice some of the evidence-based depression management strategies. And by the end of it, you will have the resources and tools needed to address the risk factors of depression for your middle school age child. The last thing you want is for your kid to be very severely depressed or suicidal and for you to know nothing about it. So that talk is all about that. Dr. Ellen B. Littman is the next speaker. She's a licensed clinical psychologist, a pioneer in the identification of gender differences in ADHD, the co-author of the book Understanding Girls with ADHD, and contributing author of other numerous books. Her talk is titled Understanding Girls with ADHD. Because for girls with ADHD, middle school marks a critical time in their development. Dr. Littman's presentation will explore current research regarding why they're underdiagnosed, girls' unique development factors and unique pattern of functional impairments, What are the common experiences for girls with ADHD, and what are the risks? We will discuss and practice ways to help families empower girls and their families to cope with the symptoms of ADHD and give the girls support as needed. By the end of it, you will have a better understanding of the expectations, treatment plan, resources, and tools needed to support your middle school age girl in facing the critical time of transitioning to young adolescence. Next is Carol Stock-Kranowitz. Carol is a teacher who learned to help her students with sensory processing challenges to become more confident and competent. She is best known for her first book in the Sync series, The Out of Sync Child. Her talk is titled, Helping Kids with ADHD and Sensory Challenges Get in Sync. Sensory processing disorder, or SPD, is a common problem that will have an impact on children's behaviors, especially their learning, relationships with others, and self-perception. However, there is often a misunderstanding about SPD and its relationship with ADHD. The truth is that about 40% of people with SPD also have ADHD. SPD causes over or under sensitivity to touch sensations, movement, sounds, or other stimuli. Sensory issues also prevent children from participating and enjoying daily activities, both at school and at home. Today, one of the top experts in this area, Carol Kranowitz, will offer an effective approach for supporting kids and caregivers with overlapping disorders. So in this presentation, you will learn about the sensory strategies for helping children with SPD and ADHD function better in problematic situations and for fostering more confident work at school. Next is Dr. Alan Graham, who is the president of advisor.com or addvisor.com, the dean of ADHD coach training for Mentor Coach. He coaches executives with business and organizational challenges and adults, teens, children, and parents impacted by ADHD. He served on the board of the Professional Association of ADHD Coaches, or PAAC, and the editorial board of the Journal of Attention Disorders. His talk is titled, How to Build Resilience for Middle Schoolers with ADHD. And we commonly think of resilience as the ability to bounce back from adversity and misfortune, and that we either have it or we don't. Children with ADHD experience challenges to their sense of self on almost a daily basis, and their ability to bounce back is negatively affected. Research has shown that resilience can be learned. We all have the ability to build our resilience, and we can teach our kids to become more resilient. Our resilience is based on the stories that we tell ourselves about the events that occur in our life. We create stories about ourselves, about others, and about events that occur in our environment. We can help build positive, resilient mindsets in our children. In this presentation, participants will learn the attributes that contribute most to resilience and learn and practice strategies that can be used to build these resilience attributes. Now, this is a very similar vein to what I was talking about earlier, where you don't want to meet the kid where they are just to make them able to get through school by changing everything around them. You want to build resilience in them so that they can thrive in any environment, so that it doesn't matter what job they're at, what college they're at, they can thrive. That's a really important one as well. Next is Cindy Goldrich, who is the founder of PTS Coaching and Training, mental health counselor, and a board-certified ADHD coach. She provides education, coaching, and support for parents, educators, and mental health professionals to help children with ADHD and executive function deficits find success. Her talk is titled, How to Parent Especially Difficult, Oppositional, or Defiant Kids with ADHD. So if you've been wondering, what happened to my easygoing kid now that they're in middle school? It seems like things are falling apart. This one's for you. In this interview, we're speaking with Cindy Goldrich to give you the foundation you need in order to start understanding how you can establish calm, improve communication, encourage collaboration, use effective consequences, and support your children in making better choices, especially for particularly defiant or difficult middle school age kids with ADHD. Next is Caroline McGuire, who's a personal coach who works with children who struggle socially and the families who support them, and the founder of a new training curriculum at the ADD Coaching Academy. Her talk is entitled, Why Will No One Play With Me? Teaching Parents to Become Their Child's Social Skills Coach. Why is it hard for so many children with ADHD to make and keep friends? This workshop will introduce participants to the tools they need to become their child's social skills coach. And Caroline McGuire will demonstrate the coaching process for participants based on her groundbreaking book, Why Will No One Play With Me?, so that they can apply coaching techniques at home. Next is Rick Fiery. He's the co-founder of Inventive Labs, which is a research lab and business incubator that helps people with learning differences find their passions and take a gap year, explore careers, or create a new business in an all-accepting environment. His talk is titled College or Career Readiness: Why Your Child with ADHD Should Focus on Building the Skills That Matter. So Rick will encourage parents to stop obsessing about college and start cultivating career readiness in their child with ADHD instead. He will talk about giving parents the tools they need to best support their child in whichever career they choose. Today's education is centered around college and around getting a degree from a respected institution. However, real-life career success is not determined solely by grades and diplomas, but also by passion, by thinking outside the box, and by perseverance. Although young people with ADHD tend to struggle in academic environments, there's absolutely no reason why they should not be able to have a stellar career in whatever they choose. And in this interview, Rick Fiery is going to talk to us about the importance of changing our mindset from college readiness to career success when raising a child with ADHD. He's also going to teach us the necessary skills to help guide, encourage, and support children with ADHD in achieving a successful career. Now, this talk is so important to me because it highlights why I started Smart Course. I don't understand why so many parents, especially now when the student debt crisis is so out of hand and degrees have proven time and time again that they do not guarantee success in life, are still obsessing over college. That's not what's most important. It's whether your child will be able to build the life that they want to live. Another word for that is career readiness or career success. So I really urge parents to watch this masterclass and reconsider if you're just going crazy about, being ready for college applications, etc. Just think for a second about what's most important for your child and what skills they would need to acquire in order to build a life that they would want to live, that they would be successful in. All right. The last day of the summit is definitely one of the most valuable ones. The theme is medications, alternative treatments, and the ADHD brain. So the first speaker of day 5 is Dr. Edward or Ned Hollowell, who is a child and adult psychiatrist, is a New York Times bestselling author, world-renowned speaker, and leading authority in the field of ADHD. His talk is titled VAST, or V-A-S-T, a new positive outlook on how a new positive outlook on ADHD and how it will help your child with ADHD. Dr. Hollowell introduces you to the world of VAST, or Variable Attention Stimulus Trait. VAST is his new name for an expanded version of ADHD and the title of his next book that he wrote with his partner, John Rady, coming out in 2020 or 2021. VAST is for people who may not fit the exact diagnostic criteria for ADHD, but still can benefit from an understanding of what it is and from the various means of dealing with it that we've developed over the past several decades. Because Dr. Hollowell sees ADHD not as a disorder, but as a trait, he feels it is important to describe it in language that does not pathologize the condition. While ADHD can certainly be incredibly challenging, if it is taken care of properly, it can turn a person's life into a life of greatness, a life of joy, and a major contribution to the world. So in this talk, Dr. Hollowell will explain what VAST consists of and how we can reframe the challenges of ADHD to change our perception of it for a more positive one. Next is Dr. William or Bill Dotson, who is currently a consultant, speaker, and writer on adult ADHD medicine. He has written more than 100 articles and 10 webinars for Attitude, CHAD, and the NADDA or NADA over the years, and is on Attitude's board of scientific advisors and is a board certified adult psychiatrist. His talk is titled ADHD and Medications: How to Decide whether to medicate, and how to do it best. Now, if the decision to try ADHD medication was based on science and upon years of experience with these medications, the decision would be easy, but it is not. For most, the focus is on the fear and worry associated with medications and not with either the positives to be gained from medication or the considerable risks associated with untreated ADHD. And this is so, so important. It goes right back to the misinformation that I was talking about in this space. Unfortunately, due to many different factors over the history of ADHD medications that Dr. Dodson explores in his masterclass, the perception of the efficiency and effectiveness of ADHD medications has been twisted into some kind of conspiracy theory or marked as like a negative label for your child. And so the science has proven time and time again that a mix of medications and behavioral strategies is the best possible treatment for your kid. 80% of cases of kids with ADHD, if they take medication, will have no symptoms at all. They can spend the rest of their lives being completely unaffected by it. And yet they don't, because their caregivers don't know better about what medications actually do and the history of why they came to be so contested. Now, that said, it is a personal decision, and whether or not as a parent you want to use medications is entirely up to you. All I would say is look at the science. Don't listen to anything else. Don't listen to your crazy aunt or uncle or parent or whatever who's saying, or your friends or whatever who's saying, oh, how could you possibly medicate your kid X, Y, and Z? They don't know. They just don't know the science. That's the reality of it. So I know it's hard not to be labeled or feel okay with someone close to your family judging you. But when you compare that to your kid struggling for the rest of their lives unnecessarily, that's an easy decision in my mind. Next is Dr. Stephen Hinshaw. So Stephen Hinshaw is a professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley, and a professor of psychiatry and behavioral sciences at UC San Francisco. His work focuses on developmental psychopathology, particularly ADHD and mental illness stigma. He's authored over 360 articles and chapters, along with 12 books. Hinshaw has also won multiple awards in teaching and research. His talk is entitled ADHD: Causal Factors, Mechanisms, Sex Differences, and Treatment Implications. So this presentation will provide an up-to-date discussion, current thinking, what's biological about it, what's more psychological in nature, what factors entail, and the role of both brains and context in shaping how ADHD looks in the world of youth. He will also discuss what this means for school interventions, parenting, and medications, and provide a more holistic, multimodal view of treatment and ADHD in context. Although parents and teachers want to do their best to help their children succeed, it is not always easy to find the best methods to do so. We will also discuss the important topic of girls with ADHD who remain understudied. So Dr. Steve Hinshaw will also discuss the role of educational policy in fostering the potential for overdiagnosis. All of this will lead to discussion of optimal medication and behavioral treatments for ADHD, focusing on middle school. Next is Dr. Conchetta M. DeCaria, who is also an instructor of our online course. She is a legendary clinical neuropsychologist with a specialization in children and adolescents and has been in private practice since 1997. She has provided academic and cognitive remediation, psychotherapeutic support, and evaluation services to hundreds of individuals with difficulties in learning, attention, and regulation, behavior, social, and emotional functioning. Her current practice focuses on diagnostic consultations and neuropsychological, psychoeducational, and psychological evaluation services. Her talk is entitled Getting an ADHD Diagnosis: What Your Child Needs, Why Your Child Needs One, and How to Get It. So in order to receive a diagnosis of ADHD, parents will have to consult a qualified mental health professional. And this could be an external evaluator, pediatrician, school psychologist, social worker, or any other large group of professionals qualified to make the diagnosis. And as an experienced evaluator who has worked with hundreds of families, Dr. DiCario will be your guide as to what is an external evaluation, what best practices are for evaluating middle school age children for ADHD and other accompanying disorders, and what you can do about the results. By the end of it, you will have the information, resources, and tools necessary to determine if getting an external evaluation is worth it for you and your child. Next, we have Lori Dupar. So Lori Dupar is a trained psychiatric nurse practitioner with a 20-year veteran ADHD life coach and director of the International ADHD Coach Training Center, or IACT Center. And she uses her unparalleled expertise in both the neuroscience and behavior management of ADHD to help people thrive with ADHD. Her talk is entitled ADHD Medication and Middle School. So the middle school personal experience is a period of life uniquely defined. Caught between childhood and adulthood, this is the age when hormones rage, social relationships change, responsibilities increase, and ADHD is often first diagnosed. An ADHD diagnosis can present answers for many who are struggling and a desire to understand treatment options to minimize symptoms for most. Although one of the most effective treatment options for symptom management includes ADHD medications, middle schoolers can challenge and undermine any simple medication options. Listen in to this session as Lori Dupar, trained psychiatric nurse and practitioner and 20-year ADHD life coach and founder of the International ADHD Coach Training Center, clarifies the specific challenges that undermine effective use of ADHD medications for this age group and leave with an understanding and specific solutions when it comes to approaching ADHD medication treatment for this age group. So I know there's two different talks on medications, and that's also on purpose. Dr. Dodson is really focused on the science and the research behind medications and how to figure out what's the best one for you. Lori's masterclass really focuses on talking about medication with your child and all of the stigma that surrounds it, so that you can handle those conversations much better. Next is Dr. Sarah Chayette. She graduated cum laude from Princeton University in cognitive neuroscience and then from UCLA Medical School. She then did a fellowship in pediatric neurology and has been in private practice since then. She treats kids and young adults with ADHD, not just with medication, but also with non-medication strategies, such as those she outlined in her book, ADHD and the Focused Mind. Her talk is titled, How to Give Your Kids a Positive Perception of Their ADHD and Have Them Want to Help Themselves. Now, in this interview, we're speaking with Dr. Sarah Chayette to give parents the tools to help their child with ADHD and change their mindset so that they are compelled to take action on winning, so that they can see a way of improving and want to do so. They can keep going even when things are tough. Really, really important. And lastly, we have Dr. Sarah Allen, who is a certified brain injury specialist, the executive director of neuropsychology at Brain Behavior Bridge, and an adjunct faculty member at Drexel University. She is also a consulting neuropsychologist for Weissman Children's Hospital and consults for districts all over the state of New Jersey regarding brain-based program designs for public and private schools. Dr. Allen conducts research, teaching, and clinical neuropsychological assessments with a focus on neuroeducational programming for children in schools. She is also one of the instructors for our ADHD in middle school online course, talking about all things getting school accommodations in place that are right for your child's unique ADHD profile. Now, our talk for the summit is entitled Your Child's ADHD Brain, How It Works, What It Means for School Accommodations, and Making Your Child More Independent. As we know that struggling with independence is one of the biggest pain points that these caregivers struggle with. So in this interview, we're speaking with Dr. Sarah Allen to show parents how to understand your child's ADHD brain better, identify the primary issue your child is having based on their unique ADHD profile, identify the correct strategy to use to address that primary problem, figure out the different ways you can implement that strategy, and lastly, how to help your child be more and more independent in the process. So middle school children with ADHD are complex. While we know their brains work differently when they learn, we want to think about kids as more than just how they perform in school. Children learn and develop across multiple domains, including how their bodies feel, how they think, how they behave, and how they're feeling. And Dr. Allen will discuss how parents, teachers, and other caregivers can use an understanding of the brain to assess and implement interventions that match each individual child. First, we will talk about brain buckets, which is a concept that Sarah developed to explain the different types of ADHD brains and how they must be balanced to promote healthy, happy, and successful children. We'll also talk about important brain patterns and how to connect that to interventions that will work for your child. Finally, we'll talk about how to ensure that your child can independently use strategies and perform better in school and at home. By the end, you will have a take-home guide to help your child build independence. So that pretty much wraps up every single speaker that we have at the ADHD in Middle School Summit, which is a lot. And I'm sure after listening to all of that, you've gotten a really good understanding of the value that this summit is going to be providing. So what I'd like to outline for everyone here is that your journey to treating ADHD, coping better, and parenting your child with ADHD could go one of two ways. You can go the long and difficult way, which is where you could spend tens of thousands of dollars on ineffective treatments and countless hours of trying to implement old, outdated ADHD strategies that you've learned from so-called experts that aren't that effective anymore, or worse, don't work at all, if you'd like to get results fast. Or you can go the easy and fast way, which is you could sign up for the ADHD Middle School Summit today and get real insights from the top ADHD experts in the world and a step-by-step guide to coping better and helping your child thrive through the middle school years. So if you're looking for your average run-of-the-mill virtual summit, you've come to the wrong place. If you're looking for the top strategies for ADHD in middle school that are working right now, then you're right at home. So a little bit about me. Hi, my name is Adrian. I'm a serial entrepreneur specialized in education technology and digital healthcare, and I've had my own rocky road with education. So now I'm bringing the best of the best together to make sure that all kids get access to equal opportunity, a solid education, and a chance to thrive. I've been featured in Forbes, Shapers Connectors Club, RTVI. I've spoken at WeWork, Freelancers Union, Startup Boost, Health Venture, and many more. And my mission is to empower parents, educators, medical professionals, and other caregivers of kids with ADHD to help students with ADHD thrive through the middle school years, both in school and at home. So if you're ready to learn from the top ADHD experts in the world, I'm here to show you the way. Now with that, if you haven't already, please sign up for the ADHD in Middle School Summit. Please go to smartcourse.io/AIMS. I'm going to put it here in the chat so everyone can see. smartcourse.io/AIMS or AIMS, which stands for ADHD in Middle School. All right. And on that page, you can register for the summit, and that's just for the free summit. And after you register, you will be given the opportunity to upgrade to the All Access Pass. So let me tell you a little bit about the ADHD in Middle School Summit All Access Pass. So like I said, right, you have two options when you're going about this. Obviously, the free summit is a totally viable option, and I'm very conscious about making this summit as accessible as possible to people. So we don't want money to be a barrier. However, if you want to implement the content of this summit way faster and way more easily, you should get an all access pass. because basically what that gives you is lifetime access to all of the 40 plus ADHD expert masterclass videos recording. So you can watch them whenever you want at your own pace. Plus you get 50 plus hours of these masterclasses in audio format so that you can watch them wherever you want, whenever you want, in the car, on a jog, whatever. You get 40 plus session notes, handouts, and action guides so that each time you're watching one of these masterclasses, you can actually just follow along with the action guide that we've put together for that talk and just take action. Literally. Any single time that you're seeing something, boom, you know exactly what to do. You get access to our Smart Course ADHD expert community, which is a group of people who have shown that they really care about doing something about helping their kid. Now, one of the big problems with support groups that I've seen on Facebook or other platforms is that there's a lot of people in them who just are venting, and that doesn't help people. I mean, it helps them, right? Because it feels good to vent when you've got so much on your plate, but that doesn't actually solve the problem. And so what we wanted to do is we created this expert moderated support group so that some of these experts that I've talked about from this summit are actually in the group. And when you have questions, they're there to answer them. So it's not just, a bunch of people venting, it's people asking questions, coming to solutions, getting support from their peers. And because it's paid to get into the group, you know that the people in there are serious about actually helping in the best way that they can. Plus, you get additional exclusive bonus resources like discounted premium courses, training, VIP Q&A sessions, and much more, which is valued at over $2,000 when you put all of that together, and special deals and discounts from our partners and more. So that includes us. If you want a discount on our online course, if you want discounts on our speakers' courses or their own webinars or products, all of those are available through the All Access Pass. So you get discounts on everything. So throughout my journey exploring online resources for ADHD, I've been honored to learn from some of the best in the world. And just as they have had an incredible impact on the way that I do things, they will change the way that you think and act too. These world-class experts on ADHD have the best tips, tools, and strategies to help you and your child through middle school. Now, each of these speakers normally charge consulting rates from $300 to $1,000 an hour. And we say this not to impress you, but to show you that the value of what they will share with you, right? And they're ready to help you move forward on your journey through the middle school years. So if you're a parent, educator, medical professional, or other caregiver of a child with ADHD, then you need to be able to understand the child that you care for, help them when things get tough, and guide them enough for them to stand on their own. So let our experts guide you step by step. They will give you the blueprint and tools that you need to finally start having a better relationship with ADHD and your family so that your child can thrive both at school and at home, right? One of the really important pieces of education is 3 things need to be working really, really well in tandem. Number 1, the school's education system needs to be really good. You need to have access to great teachers. The curriculum content needs to be good. Then you need your home life to be really good. If life is out of whack, you feel like you just can't help yourself. Studies have shown you're not going to be able to learn effectively. And lastly, you need to want to learn. If you yourself, as the person who is learning, doesn't want to be there or isn't enjoying your time there, or you don't feel like you belong, it's not going to work. So all 3 of those things are things that we specifically know about, have researched, and have brought the best of the best experts in the world together specifically to tackle these 3 main issues. And I know that we're all busy. I totally get that, right? But successful implementation of these strategies will need some time and effort if you want to achieve great results. So going through everything at once is probably not the most feasible for most people. But with the All Access Pass to the ADHD Middle School Summit, it's like having the best ADHD experts in the world guiding you every step of the way as you're going through the transition to middle school, or you're currently in middle school, wherever you're starting right now. And you can watch and study these powerful and actionable world-class expert masterclasses more in depth at any time from anywhere. So if you're really serious about learning all you can about ADHD so that you can help your child through middle school and you want to take it to the next level, if you want to save time and effort on experimentation and do what works for your child today, if you want access to thousands of dollars in exclusive limited time bonuses and special deals, then the ADHD in Middle School Summit All Access Pass is for you. It's a complete no-brainer for most of our tens of thousands of attendees to upgrade to the All Access Pass so that they can get lifetime access to these game-changing strategies and exclusive bonuses. In total, the value that we calculated from each of these things, the recordings, the audio, the support group, the perks and deals, all of that total equates to around $5,891. And you can get the All Access Pass if you're getting it at the one-time offer for as low as $147. I mean, that's an insane discount. But the reason that we're doing that is because we want this summit to be accessible. And, if we want to keep running these summits, keep making SmartCourse grow, keep helping more and more families, then we need to make some money in order to grow the business. So we've made it as democratized as possible. You can access these experts that normally no one would be able to access one-on-one for a fraction of the cost than what you would have spent on just 1 hour with one of the experts. So all that said, that's the All Access Pass, and I really hope that I see many of you take it. 3 key takeaways that I would say for that is it's unique and actionable material, right? The unique, strategic, and very actionable step-by-step advice will help walk you through the middle school struggles so you can relax knowing that your kid is going to be okay, no matter if you're just starting out or have been doing this for a while. You're going to get proven world-class expert mentors. And with the All Access Pass, it'll be like having these 40-plus world-class expert mentors in your hand, constantly ready to help you out with their best advice. So don't waste any precious time and money on trial and error, right? When you can have these experts that have already been where you are now and have figured out what works best. And lastly, you're going to reduce overwhelm, right? It's a fact. Most parents of kids with ADHD are struggling with overwhelm. Educators are struggling with overwhelm. Medical professionals are struggling with overwhelm, all especially during the pandemic. And there are too many sources of information. And how are you supposed to know who to trust, right? You don't have that much time, got all these problems. You want something that you can trust that you can do quickly. So you don't want to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars and time on self-proclaimed gurus without actual real-life experience, credentials, or results. And that's why I've gathered this hand-picked lineup of ADHD experts in one place, sharing clear strategies that work today. No fluff. Our expert mentors will tell you how you can implement the very same strategies that they use with their own families, right? With their own clients to start getting results quickly. So quickly to recap, right? If you enroll and you get the All Access Pass, you're going to get exclusive priority access to all world-class expert masterclass sessions, cliff notes, action worksheets, downloadable audio, generous deals for experts, programs, and much more. When you enroll during this special limited time period, you'll get lifetime on-demand access to all 40-plus in-depth expert video masterclass sessions, total valued at $1,400, 50-plus hours of downloadable audio files in an MP3 format for listening on the go, total value of $797, 40-plus session notes, handouts, and action guides, 25-plus pages of revolutionary insights from world-class experts, providing you with shortcuts to the key steps and strategies so that you can speed up implementation whilst keeping track of your notes, valued at $597, access to SmartCourse's ADHD expert moderated community, valued at $597, exclusive invites to post-event VIP Q&As with me, your host, as well as potentially some surprise expert guests. Ask us anything you want in regards to ADHD in middle school, and I'll help highlight key points and important implementation tactics. And that's valued at over $2,000. Plus, you get special deals with expert programs, workshops, courses, and more at $500 of value. So again, that total is $5,891. So getting the All Access Pass, you save on 95% off the full value price when you purchase today. So if that's not enough, just like I said at the very beginning, this is all guaranteed. I stand behind this content, and if you do not absolutely love everything that the ADHD in Middle School Summit All Access Pass gives you, then I'm willing to offer you an outrageous 100% money back guarantee. Here's how it works. You sign up for the ADHD in Middle School Summit All Access Pass, and you get to test it out for the next 7 days, which is longer than the entire summit. So you can literally watch the entire summit through the All Access Pass if you wanted to, for free. And if you don't like it, then you can get a refund. So if you watch as many of the 40 plus world-class expert masterclass sessions as you'd like, and if you don't feel it has been a worthwhile investment for any reason, then simply send an email to our support team within 7 days of your purchase, and we'll refund your money in full, no questions asked, as long as you didn't buy just to get access to all the material or the special deals and discounts, etc. And we will be checking that. So for more information, please contact us at support@smartcourse.io. Otherwise, what are you waiting for? Grab your All Access Pass today so you don't miss out. Now, we've already had attendees of the summit give us really great testimonials. Just to share some, Jessica M. said, I just wanted to say thank you for doing this summit. I watched the Peg Dawson session last night and it was great. I have twin boys who are in 6th grade and have ADHD. Our biggest struggle is turning in assignments. I have some ideas now based on what I saw last night, and I'm looking forward to watching the remainder of the sessions. Thanks again. Hillary S. says, I'm loving your middle school summit. You've created an amazing platform. Jimmy M. says, thank you so much. Just watched the first session and it was fabulous. Elizabeth S. says, I am loving this program so far. By the way, thank you so much. So if you have any questions, we have a section with FAQs on the website as well. You can always reach out to our support team. But that pretty much covers everything about the ADHD Middle School Summit All Access Pass. And I highly recommend upgrading to that. Now, there is some with you as we're wrapping up here, because as much as the ADHD Middle School Summit All Access Pass is an amazing resource, there is one big missing piece, and that is the ADHD Middle School online course. So the summit is really great for covering a wide variety of broad subject matter and being able to, go below the surface with each masterclass to address a very specific burning pain with an expert. But the online course is much more in depth because each instructor of the online course is actually tackling an entire part of your life that you would otherwise be struggling with, right? So for example, Dr. Conchetta DeCaria, as a professional diagnostician, is going to be tackling everything that you need to know about getting an ADHD diagnosis. So that's really important for being able to get school accommodations in place for your child. Understanding, what is the depth at which my child has ADHD, because the symptoms vary significantly from child to child. If you've seen one child with ADHD, you've seen one child with ADHD. They could be completely different from another child with ADHD. So getting that diagnosis is really important. But there's so many different pieces to getting a diagnosis, right? Like, who's the right person to be doing the diagnosis for me? How do I find that person? What are the questions that I should ask that person? What do I do with the results once I get them? How do I interpret those results? And once I have those results, and I want to get some accommodations in place, how do I talk to the school about that? All of those are questions that Dr. Conchetta DeCaria covers in the online course. And that's because it affords her the time to be able to dive deep and walk you through every step of the way, right? So once you buy the ADHD Middle School Summit All Access Pass, you'll be prompted to buy the online course if you want. You don't have to, obviously. But the All Access Pass is included in the ADHD Middle School online course. So you're much better off getting the online course because you get everything in the All Access Pass plus all the stuff in the online course. So to recap, you're going to get lifetime access to the 40 plus ADHD expert masterclass videos and 6 in-depth walkthrough lessons from each individual expert. That's Melissa Orlov, Dr. Conchetta DeCaria, Daniel Karpski, Dr. Sarah Wheeler, Dr. Sarah Allen, and Dr. Sharon Salim. That equates to 70 plus hours of masterclasses and walkthroughs in audio MP3 format, 40 plus session notes, handouts, and action guides, access to Smart Courses ADHD expert moderated support group, plus exclusive access to the AIMS online course community with your peers and instructors, so that if you're a student of the online course, you get also added to a separate Facebook group where you get access to the instructors of the online course and all of your peers. So you know every single peer in that group has invested to be in that group, meaning they're very serious about tackling these issues, and you get less people in the group, so therefore more time with the instructors. Plus you get additional exclusive bonus resources like discounted premium courses that we create, training, VIP Q&As, coaching programs that we also offer on top of the course if you'd like, and much, much more. Total value of over $2,500. On top of that, you'll also get the special deals, discounts, and perks that we've put together for you with our partners. So all of the speakers, the affiliates of the summit, and the sponsors of the summit as well. So quite simply, the ADHD in Middle School online course is by far the #1 most comprehensive walkthrough guide to teach you how to help your kids thrive through the middle school years. It's got the 6 specialized instructors plus the 40 speakers from the summit. And if you purchase the online course through a specific link that I'm going to share, you can get it at a fast action bonus price. So as I set up that offer, I'm just going to also check in to see if anyone has any questions about what I've been talking about so far. So one of my teammates, Gianna, is moderating the chat. Gianna, could you let me know if there are any questions that I should be addressing? I'm just going to check here. All right, and let me set up this bonus for everyone. All right. So it looks like we've got some questions, one by Fatima and one by Becky S. Gianna's just letting me know what those are. All right. All right, so I think we've actually already addressed these questions. So I think we're good. I'll just focus on getting this offer together then. All right. So it looks like Rayab wants to clarify the summit prices. If you are first accessing the All Access Pass page, there's a one-time offer for $147. That's only available for 30 minutes. So if you want it at that price, you should upgrade to the All Access Pass right after you register for the summit. Otherwise, there's early bird pricing. So from now until August 26th at 10 a.m., you can get the Summit All Access Pass at $197. And then after August 26th at 10 a.m., it will be at the normal price of $297. All right. Any other questions? Alrighty, so I would like everybody who wants to take advantage of the online course at a fast action bonus price for the next 15 minutes. So it's currently 5:50 p.m. in Eastern time. So at 6:05 p.m. Eastern time, this offer will no longer be available. But you can get the entire online course, which includes the All Access Pass, for $597 right now, if you're watching this webinar. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to a link, which is bit.ly, which is ly, bit.ly / AIMS dash course dash FAB. All right, so that link should be live now. Again, that link is bit.ly / AIMS dash course dash FAB. So if you access that, you should be seeing a checkout page where you can get the online course at this fast action bonus price of $597. And again, that's lifetime access to all of the in-depth walkthrough lessons from the course and the expert masterclass videos from the summit, all of the audio, all of the session notes, handouts, and action guides, both expert communities, one for summit attendees that's expert moderated, and one that's specific to the online course community with your peers and your instructors, plus additional exclusive bonus resources like discounted premium courses, training VIP Q&As, coaching programs, which can be helpful if you want on top of the online course, and much, much more, plus all the special deals, perks, and discounts that we put together with our partners. So there you have it. For the next 15 minutes, I will just interact with the chat and see if anyone has any questions until 6:05, at which point this offer will no longer be available. And just so you know, there is also a money-back guarantee on the online course. So I stand behind that content. If you don't like it, if you don't think it's right for you, same thing. You can get your money back as long as you didn't take advantage of any of the perks and deals that we set up with our partners. So feel free to buy it. You have everything to win, nothing to lose. Go through the content, see if it's a good fit for you, if it's going to get you from your point A to your point B, and just reach out to support@smartcourse.io if you feel like within the first 7 days it's not a fit for you. So for I believe Fatima has asked, will we be able to replay this after it is over? I joined a little late. Yes, you will be able to replay this webinar. However, the fast action bonus will not be available. It's only available live until 6:05 p.m. ET. Julie Welch has asked, can you tell us again where to log in tomorrow for both live and replay session? Yes. So in order to see the masterclasses, you need to sign up for the summit. So if you haven't already, go to smartcourse.io/AIMS. That's smartcourse.io/AIMS. And register for the summit and check your emails because the instructions for accessing these sessions will be sent to you via email. All right, looks like Dorothy just bought the All Access Pass. Congratulations, Dorothy, and welcome. Glad to have you. Kristen Laurent also bought the All Access Pass. Thank you, Kristen. Welcome to the program. Catherine M. Enderstad also joined. Thank you, Catherine. Welcome. Oh, so Julie is asking, I'm signed up and I already have the All Access Pass. So if you already have the All Access Pass, you would have received emails from us welcoming you to the members area of the All Access Pass, where you can watch any of the sessions at your own pace. And if you don't have those emails or you can't find them for whatever reason, just reach out to us at support@smartcourse.io and let us know. All right. Todd Callahan just joined. Todd, welcome. Thank you for joining. Iona Santu also joined the All Access Pass. Thank you, Iona. All right. Robin Bilbija has also signed up. Thank you, Robin. Welcome. Christine Valencia. Christine, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy it. Deborah Courtwright has asked, All Access Pass allows us to view lectures only at any time. Not entirely sure what you mean, but I believe, yes, you can watch the lectures at any time, whenever you want, plus all of those other perks and deals that I mentioned like the support group, the perks and deals that we set up with partners, speakers, sponsors, um, and the deals and discounts that we give you ourselves through our other products, like the online course. Valeska Armisen has asked, can you tell us again why you were interested in ADHD? I may have missed the very beginning. Yeah. So I told a story at the very beginning about, why I got started in this space, why it's so important to me. And, the recording of this webinar will be available. So please sign up for the summit. You'll be sent the recording, and then you can listen to that story on why I got involved. Lori Maher has joined. Thank you, Lori. Welcome to the program. Tita Solomon. Thank you, Tita. Kathleen Alexander. Welcome, Kathleen. So Fatima has asked, will there be any talks about house strategies and different ways to help children to learn and to adapt to virtual learning and when a child has ADHD and other diagnoses? Yes. And I covered this. I don't know if you joined late, but if you go to the summit's registration page, which is smartcourse.io/AIMS, you can see there are multiple talks tackling this subject matter. Particularly, I would have you pay attention to Dr. Manju Banerjee and Dr. Adam Laylor's talks, which is specific to virtual and distance learning for kids with learning disabilities. And then all of the talks during day 4 would be interesting for you as they cover the different comorbidities, like the other disabilities or diagnoses that kids with ADHD typically have. So Deborah Courtwright has asked, the All Access Pass has all of the 40 plus specific master classes that they've gone through. And the master classes vary from 1 hour to around 2 hours long, right? So they're great. They go below the surface. And because, it's so many different subjects, we cover a lot. The online course, the lessons can range from 2 hours to 5 hours long. So they're much, much more in depth, and they're really walking you through every step of the way. Whereas the Summit master classes are teaching you about a specific subject. They're not necessarily telling you, okay, here's the next step that you need to take, and here's how you should take it, and here are the questions that you need to ask, and here's why, right? And here's what you do once you get those results, and here's how you take it to the school. I'm just going to keep going, assuming everyone can still hear me. So the reason that online course is so important is because as a caregiver, you are going to face critical, what we call burning pains. So things that are so painful for either you or your child that you have to address them, right? And each instructor has been recruited specifically to tackle one of those burning pains. And there are things that every single caregiver is going to have to go through. It's not an option. It's like, because you have a child with ADHD, these are things that are going to happen. And therefore, you might as well be as equipped as possible to be able to address those as best as possible so that you have the least amount of friction, the least amount of pain going with your family or your child throughout those years. All right, coming up to the deadline for this offer, Audrey Butters, I believe. Yep, Audrey Butters has signed up. Thank you so much, Audrey. All right. So just a couple minutes left here. See who else has signed up. Melinda Reyes. Melinda, thank you for signing up. Milagros Enriquez has signed up. Thank you, Milagros, and welcome. Belinda Eddington. Welcome, Belinda. All right, and just about a minute left here. Charlene Coulson. Thank you so much for signing up, Charlene. Kimberly Nudie. Kimberly, thank you so much. Welcome. Susan's Pollock. Welcome, Susan's. All right, we're pretty much at the deadline here. If give it another 5 minutes, but after that, we're going to wrap up. Jinsuk Baek, welcome. Thank you for joining. Franziska Marks. Franziska, welcome. Karen Nichols. Welcome, Karen. Melinda Matula. Welcome, Melinda. Stacy Davis. Welcome, Stacy. Welcome. Janelyn Gregg. Janelyn Gregg, thank you for joining. Maggie Ray. Welcome, Maggie. Lynn Baltimore. Welcome, Lynn. Bradford Smith. Welcome, Bradford. Barbara Muller Ackerman. Welcome, Barbara. Julie Welch has already joined. Hello again, Julie. Jill Datic. Welcome, Jill. Susan Kushner. Welcome. Kate Twell. Welcome, Kate. Bradley Goldman. Welcome, Bradley. Caitlin O'Neill. Welcome, Caitlin. Walter Sukow. Welcome. Michelle Rogantinsky. Welcome, Michelle. Ashley Shower. Welcome. Thank you, Julie. Julie says, it looks like an excellent program. So thank you for saying that. All right, just going to make sure that everyone's got the bit.ly link. Send it one more time here in the chat. Gianna, you can go ahead and repost this once I send it over to you. Looks like the URL that Gianna originally sent was incorrect. So I think the next one will be the correct one. And I'll extend by another 5 minutes just to make sure everyone has the right link and had the opportunity to upgrade during that time. Yeah, that is the correct link. So again, if you're listening, it's bit.ly /AIMS course FAB or FAB. It's just an acronym for Fast Action Bonus. All right, so over the next 5 more minutes, I'm just going to keep welcoming everyone to the program. Unless there's any questions that come up, I'll address those. Rachel Enevoldsen, welcome. Thank you for joining. Swellen Inwood, welcome Swellen. Kelly Schmitz, welcome Kelly. Char Geisman, welcome Char. Melissa Lillard, welcome. Alicia Hoffman, welcome Alicia Hoffman. Whitney Chiati, welcome Whitney. Jennifer Cleary, welcome Jennifer. Cynthia North, welcome Cynthia from Kentucky. Barbara Nova from California, welcome Barbara. Catherine Blair, also from California, welcome Catherine. Claudia Zarilla Ramirez from Massachusetts, welcome Claudia. Amy Hughes from Alaska, wow, welcome Amy, that's great. Alana Dutra from California, welcome Alana. Michelle Noonan from Ontario, Canada, great, welcome Michelle. Alexandra Handel from Victoria, Australia. Welcome, Alexandra. That's awesome. I know ADHD is very prevalent in Australia, the UK, Canada, China, India, but in many of these places, they still have this negative stigma about it or just don't think it exists. So we're really looking forward to expanding globally and being able to address in all of those different places as well. And you are helping us do that. So thank you. Jenny Drury from New South Wales, Australia. Great. Welcome, Jenny. Jennifer Casriel from New York, fellow New Yorker. Welcome, Jennifer. Sonal Singh from Delhi, India. Great. Sonal, you are leading the movement. Thank you so much for joining. All right. So we've got about 2 minutes left here. Just reminding everyone. Monica Bouchier-Zuck from California, welcome. Mona Segal from Quebec, Canada, welcome Mona. Susan Y from Virginia, welcome Susan. Jilly Ren from China, that's great. Welcome Jilly. You're now leading the movement in China as well. Stephanie Teal from Ohio, welcome Stephanie. Lani Zinberg Swartz from Ontario, Canada, welcome. Emmy Sullivan from California, welcome Emily. Daniela Owen from California, welcome. Ruth Fuller from New York, hi Ruth. Melissa Young from Nebraska, welcome Melissa. Tara Noli from Missouri, welcome Tara. Lygia Brickus from Connecticut, welcome Lygia. Heidi Smith from Maryland, welcome Heidi. Heidi Bledsoe from Washington, hello other Heidi from Washington. Kyan Ware from Montana, welcome Kyan. Martha McKinsey from Georgia, welcome Martha. Tori Takuchi from California, welcome Tori. Craig Sellinger from New York, welcome Craig. Lane Dent from California, welcome Lane. Carolina Krasinska from California, welcome. Elissa McGinty from Massachusetts, welcome Elissa. So Rabab asks, how many should I pay for lifetime access? I don't really understand the question. Can you rephrase it maybe? I'll just keep going as we wait. Allison Burns from Arizona, welcome. Wendy Ziegler from New York, welcome Wendy. John Shockey from Virginia, welcome John. Francoise Veneroni from Florida, welcome Francoise. Doran Kemmerly from Oregon, welcome Doran. V. Armisen from California, welcome V. Jill Perkins from Idaho, welcome Jill. Jenny Von Felt from New Jersey, welcome Jenny. Carolyn Colwell from New York, welcome Carolyn. Jonathan Swan from Nova Scotia, Canada, welcome Jonathan. Melissa Sunderland from Colorado, welcome Melissa. Megan Austin from North Carolina, welcome Megan. Aaron Wilder from Alabama, welcome Aaron. Wendy Charness from Illinois, welcome Wendy. Christine Matthews Dalton from Washington, welcome Christine. Jimmy McDaniel from Oklahoma, welcome Jimmy. Becky Coyne from Massachusetts, welcome Becky. Jill Sayer from Texas, welcome Jill. Megan Duarte from British Columbia. Shelley Lynch from California. and there are so many more to go, but unfortunately we have to end here. So for everyone that I didn't get to welcome in personally, please know that I am welcoming you either way. You will receive welcome emails from me. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us, ask us questions, interact in the support groups, give us any feedback, anything that we can do to make this better. Please send that. It's very, very valuable to us, and we appreciate it so much. And with that, I would just like to thank everyone who stayed till the end. You are truly the best Smart Course fans. We appreciate you so much, and we will show you our appreciation as much as possible as we keep going. I'm super excited for this summit. Very, very excited to hear any feedback from anyone on it. So please attend, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with anyone who may or may not be interested, because they might know other people who might be interested. And especially now, I can't stress this enough, during the pandemic, these resources are crucial. There's so many kids that are stuck at home with their parents, and there's no homeroom teacher anymore. There's no clinical psychologist that they can see. There's no behavioral therapist. There's no psychiatrists. So all of this stuff has to happen online. And the only way for that to happen is if everyone is able to educate themselves effectively, to empower themselves to be able to do something about it, right? So please share this with as many people as you can. I'll actually share one last big thing with everyone. We started a Kickstarter campaign so that we can put this summit together and bring in as many of the best experts as possible. And it will definitely help us the next time we put this summit together and we do more transitional periods for ADHD. So please, if you know anyone who would like to donate to Smart Course or would like rewards for helping to fund the next summit, we've put together this Kickstarter campaign. If you go to bit.ly/kickstart-aims, that's kickstart-AIMS, bit.ly/kickstart-AIMS, our Kickstarter campaign. And we made it so that no matter what you donate to support the campaign, you will get rewards for it. And it only works if we hit our goal of $5,000 by September 18th, 2020. So no one gets anything unless we hit the goal. So please share it with as many people as possible so that we can hit that goal. Everyone can get the rewards that they were hoping for, and we can help as many people as possible during the pandemic who really, really need it. On that note, thank you so much for listening. If you've stayed till the end, I can't thank you enough. I really look forward to welcoming you, each and every one of you, into our All Access Pass or during the free summit over the course of the next week, and hopefully into our online course, because it is by far the most valuable resource. We've also put together Smart Course membership. If anyone can't afford the All Access Pass but still wants something that will be helpful, for $17 a month, if you join our membership, you will get access to the ADHD moderated support group, as well as the perks and deals that we've put together with the speakers, affiliates, and sponsors. So there's something at every price point for everyone, and we made that on purpose so that anyone can get support if they need it. So if you're interested in that, even if you're someone who bought the All Access Pass, you should join our membership. If you've joined the online course, you should join our membership, because basically what that gives you is ongoing access to this growing list of perks and deals and the expert moderated support group that we're going to have on an ongoing basis. So $17 a month, it's not a lot to get access to someone who would normally charge you hundreds of dollars per hour. So super worth it. And if you want access to that, you just go to smartcourse.io/products. That's smartcourse.io/products. And you'll be able to see the membership and sign up for it there. All right. And with that, thank you so much for attending. I guess one last question before I log off here. Rabab is asking if the lifetime access to the 40+ ADHD expert masterclass videos and 6 in-depth walkthrough lessons as part of the online course. Is that offer for today? Yes, that's the offer on the fast action bonus today. So as soon as I log off, I'm going to remove that link. So if you haven't upgraded to the online course yet, please do so right now. I'll wait another 3 minutes after I log off, but there's no more fast action bonus after that. All right? Great. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. I wish you all the best for the rest of your Sunday night, or if you're in India or Australia, I guess you're already on your Monday. So thank you so much for joining, and look forward to welcoming you all to the summit.